Welcome to Sir Robert Chiduk Tutorials. Learning is 24/7. Hello and welcome to Sir Robert Chiduk Tutorials. Today I want to look at the cell structure. The structure and the functions of the cell. So in this discussion you are going to learn, after studying this section, you should be able to describe the structure of the plasma membrane. Yes, it's very important for you to know the structure of the plasma membrane, how the plasma membrane is constituted and structured. That is very, very important. You should be able to explain the functions of the principal organelles. Yes, you must be able to know the functions of the organelles, how the organelles perform their different functions and how important they are to the human cell. The organelles are found inside the human cell. Then in a later discussion after today, we are going to cover the process of mitosis, cell division. It's also very important. So today we are just going to go straight to describe the structure of the plasma membrane. So the plasma membrane consists of two layers of phospholipids, that is fatty acids. So I want to show you the plasma membrane. The plasma membrane is made up of two layers, right? The two layers of phospholipids. It is made up of two layers of phospholipids. So it will only make sense when you see the picture of the plasma membrane. So this is the picture of the plasma membrane. As you can see, this is the structure of the plasma membrane, right? The plasma membrane, this is a diagram showing the structure diagram A. That is the structure of the plasma membrane. So I will explain why it looks the way it looks, right? You can see there are carbohydrate chains. There's a phospholipid bilayer. By phospholipid bilayer, we mean there are two layers of phospholipids. That's why we say the plasma membrane is made up of two layers of phospholipids. Those two layers of phospholipids is what we call the phospholipid bilayer, right? I think you can see this arrow which is pointing to the phospholipid bilayer, right? With membrane protein molecules that will be entering through the phospholipid bilayer. This is how substances move across the cell membrane, as we are going to discover later on. I think you are seeing some yellow substances. Those are cholesterol molecules. So the reason why you need to know the structure of the plasma membrane is for you to understand how different substances, molecules and chemicals move across membranes by different processes such as osmosis and also active transport. So this is the structure of our plasma membrane. This is the structure of our plasma membrane. So I was just explaining that diagram. So the plasma membrane, like I said, consists of two layers of phospholipid, that is the fatty substances. So these phospholipids are fatty substances, right? Simply, they are fatty substances, these phospholipids. If you hear the word is lipid, think of fat. So, and sugar molecules embedded in them. And these sugar molecules that are embedded in them, those are the carbohydrate chains that I showed you earlier on. Then in addition to phospholipids, the lipid cholesterol is also present in the plasma membrane. I showed you the cholesterol. Those proteins that extend all the way through the membrane may provide channels that allow the passage of, for example, electrolytes and non-lipid soluble molecules. Protein molecules on the surface of the plasma membrane are shown. So I have shown you that substances will be able to move across the cell membranes, the plasma membrane, right? That include the electrolytes, the ones that are lipid soluble. The phospholipid molecules have a head which is electrically charged and hydrophilic meaning water loving. So if you see closely at the picture, this diagram of the structure of the plasma membrane, you see there are those green heads, right? In between those green heads, you can see that they are tails. So the heads are the ones that are hydrophilic, which means they are water loving, and then the tails, they are hydrophobic, right? So in general, this is the structure of the plasma membrane. So the phospholipid bilayer is arranged like a sandwich with the hydrophilic heads aligned on the surfaces of the membrane, and the hydrophilic tails forming a central water repelling layer. These differences influence the transfer of substances across the membrane. The membrane protein performs several functions. That is, branched carbohydrate molecules are tied to the outside of the membrane molecules to give the cell its immunological identity. So I think in simple terms, that was all for the plasma membrane. We have seen the plasma membrane, and I'll summarize about the plasma membrane. We've seen that the plasma membrane is made up of two layers that we call the phospholipid bilayer, and embedded inside it we have cholesterol molecules. We also have carbohydrate chains, and because of its structure, it allows for the movement of particles and substances, such as electrolytes, across it, because it has got the concept of selective permeability. Now that we've looked at the structure of the plasma membrane, it's very important for us to look at the cell structure. It's very important for us to look at the cell structure. Want to look at the cell structure. The cell structure itself. Let us look at the cell. The simple cell, the human cell. So this is our simple cell. This is our simple cell. Let us look at the parts of the simple cell, the structures of the simple cell, what it contains, what it is all about. So this is our simple cell. Our simple cell has got a plasma membrane, and so these are the cell has got organelles inside it. The cell has got organelles inside it. So I want to look at the different organelles that are in the simple cell, as you can see on the diagram. Then we'll go on and look at the functions of different principal organelles. So inside the cell, one thing to mention first, the most important thing of all the organelles, we've got the nucleus. The nucleus. You are going to see that the nucleus contains the DNA, which is the genetic material. The DNA, which is the genetic material. So the nucleus is one of the principal organelles that are housed inside the simple human cell. We have the centrosome, we have the centrioles, we have the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. We also have the rough endoplasmic reticulum, right? We also have the ribosomes. We have the ribosomes. I think you can see the ribosomes. We also have the Golgi apparatus. We have the cytoplasm. So all these organelles are inside. They are right in the cytoplasm. The plasma membrane, which forms the boundary of the human cell. We have the mitochondria. We have the ribosomes. We have the nucleus. We have the nuclear envelope. We also have all these other parts. So now let us proceed and look at different functions that are performed by different organelles in the human body. And to start with, we shall look at the functions of the nucleus. So every cell in the human body is a nucleus, with the exception of mature erythrocytes. That is the red blood cells. So every cell in the human body has got a nucleus. This nucleus is the one that contains the genetic material or the DNA, right? Except with the exception of mature erythrocytes. These are mature red blood cells. They don't contain the They don't contain the nucleus, because if they do, they will continue dividing and dividing and multiplying at an abnormal rate. So there is a period during blood development whereby the red blood cells, during their development, they will lose their nucleus during that process, especially when they are becoming mature. They will lose their nucleus because there's a special reason why that should happen, because if they continue to have a nucleus, it means they will continue to divide. So the skeletal mass and some other cells contain several nuclei. Yes, the nuclei is the largest organelle and is contained within the nuclear envelope, a membrane similar to the plasma membrane but with the tiny pores through. So that is for the nucleus. So the nucleus contains the body's genetic material, like indicated earlier on. So when you are asked when you want to describe the nucleus, you've written nucleus as an organelle, you should indicate that the nucleus contains the body's genetic material which directs all the metabolic activities of the cell. This consists of 46 chromosomes which are made from deoxyribonucleic acid, that is the DNA, right? So the most important thing for you to mention under the nucleus is to say that the nucleus contains the body's genetic material which directs all the metabolic activities of the human cell, and that it has got the DNA, which is the deoxyribonucleic acid, right? Now let us proceed and look at the mitochondria. So mitochondria, these are membranous sausage-shaped structures in the cytoplasm, sometimes described as the powerhouse of the cell. So the mitochondria is sometimes described as the powerhouse of the cell. So in simple terms, the most refined and simplest definition for mitochondria, that you function of the mitochondria, you should say it is responsible for energy production, right? It is responsible for energy production. To say mitochondria are membranous sausage-shaped structures in the cytoplasm, sometimes described as the powers of the cell, is to describe their structure, but the main function of the mitochondria is for energy production in simple terms. As simple as that. Don't complicate things for yourself. They are important for energy production. So the mitochondria, they produce energy in form of ATP, which is adenosine triphosphate. They are involved in aerobic respiration, the process by which chemical energy is made available in the cell. This is in the form of ATP, which releases the energy when the cell breaks it down. The synthesis of ATP is more efficient in the final stages of aerobic respiration, a process requiring oxygen. So like I indicated earlier on, I said you have been asked to describe the function of the mitochondria, right? It is responsible for energy production, right? Then the other things you can start writing, but the simplest and the briefest way is to say the mitochondria is responsible for production of energy in the form of ATP. As simple as that, right? Thank you. Let us proceed and look at the ribosomes. Ribosomes, right? The simplest way I want you to describe the function of the ribosomes is to say the ribosomes, these are responsible for protein synthesis. As simple as that. The ribosomes are responsible for protein synthesis, right? Then you can write other things, but you have given us the main point. They are responsible for protein synthesis. That is the function of the ribosomes. These are sites of protein synthesis inside the human cell. So these are tiny granules composed of RNA and protein. RNA for ribonucleic acid. They synthesize proteins from amino acids using the RNA as the template when present in free units or in small clusters in the cytoplasm. So I've explained to you, I've just told you that it's important to just give the function of the ribosomes in brief. It's simply responsible for protein synthesis. As simple as that. These are sites for protein synthesis. So ribosomes make proteins for use within the cell. These include the enzymes required for metabolism. Metabolic pathways consist of a series of what. So all that, but what is very important, just to mention that these are sites for protein synthesis. The endoplasmic reticulum, ER, endoplasmic reticulum. The endoplasmic reticulum is an extensive series of interconnecting membranous canals in the cytoplasm. These are two types. We have smooth and rough endoplasmic reticulum. So we have two types of endoplasmic reticulum. We have got smooth endoplasmic reticulum and we have got rough endoplasmic reticulum. The smooth endoplasmic reticulum does not contain the ribosomes. The rough endoplasmic reticulum is dotted with dotted with ribosomes. The rough endoplasmic reticulum is called rough endoplasmic reticulum because it contains ribosomes that are lined or dotted around it. For example, just check here the rough endoplasmic reticulum. The rough endoplasmic reticulum. Let me use a marker to highlight for you to be able to see. You see here, right? That is the rough endoplasmic reticulum because it contains some ribosomes, right? You can see that the ribosomes on there here, right? So when these ribosomes are on the endoplasmic reticulum, it becomes the rough endoplasmic reticulum. When the endoplasmic reticulum doesn't have the ribosomes, it's smooth endoplasmic reticulum, as you can see here. This is the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, right? I think you've mastered that. Thank you so much. Now, so we have two types of the endoplasmic reticulum. That is the smooth endoplasmic reticulum and the rough endoplasmic reticulum. So like I indicated earlier on, there are two types, smooth and rough. Smooth endoplasmic reticulum synthesizes lipids. Lipids are fats, like I told you earlier on. It synthesizes lipids. Smooth endoplasmic reticulum synthesizes lipids. The smooth endoplasmic reticulum synthesizes lipids. It's here, right? This is the main function of the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. This is what you just need to write, to say it synthesizes the lipids or the fats. So it synthesizes the lipids and steroids, right? The steroid hormones, and is also associated with the detoxification of drugs, right? That is for the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Now, rough endoplasmic reticulum is studded or lined or dotted with ribosomes, as you can see here, right? As you can see here, studded with ribosomes. These are the sites of protein synthesis. Therefore, it is responsible for protein synthesis. So you see that school is very, very easy, right? So in summary, as we summarize this, the endoplasmic reticulum, it is made up of smooth endoplasmic reticulum and the rough endoplasmic reticulum. The function of the smooth endoplasmic reticulum is to synthesize the lipids and steroid hormones and also to detoxify drugs. Then the rough endoplasmic reticulum, since it is studded with ribosomes, its main function is protein synthesis, right? So we are done with the endoplasmic reticulum, right? Let us now proceed. Let's now proceed and look at the Golgi apparatus. The Golgi apparatus. So you need to see the Golgi apparatus and know what a Golgi apparatus is, right? The function of the Golgi apparatus. So where is the Golgi apparatus here? Let me highlight to show you the Golgi apparatus. So here, this is the Golgi apparatus, right? This is the Golgi apparatus. You see those things that looks like sticks that are stacked. That is the Golgi apparatus. So let us see the function of the Golgi apparatus. What is the function of the Golgi apparatus? What is the function of the Golgi apparatus? The Golgi apparatus consists of stacks of loosely folded, flattened membranous sacs. Right? That one is just description of structure. Never mind. It is present in all cells but is larger in those that synthesize and export proteins. The proteins move from the endoplasmic reticulum to the Golgi apparatus, where they are packaged into membrane-bound vesicles called secretory granules. The vesicles are stored, and when needed, they move to the plasma membrane and fuse with it. The contents then leave the cell by exocytosis. Right, so what do you note here? You see, we see that the function of the Golgi apparatus, right, is for storage, it is for transportation and storage of proteins. This is what we are learning, because it is present in all cells, larger in those that synthesize and export proteins, and the proteins move from the endoplasmic reticulum to the Golgi apparatus, where they are packaged into small membrane vesicles called secretory granules. Right? So this is what we learn. Now let us proceed to lysosomes. Let us proceed to lysosomes. You need also to see the lysosomes. You need to see the lysosomes so that you are able to recognize the lysosomes. Do you see the lysosomes now? Yes, here are the lysosomes. So these are the sorry. I highlighted the wrong one. These are the lysosomes, right? Those are the lysosomes. So let us look at the function of the lysosomes. The lysosomes are one type of secretory vesicles with membranous walls which are formed by the Golgi apparatus. They contain a variety of enzymes involved in breaking down fragments of organelles and large molecules, RNA, DNA, carbohydrates, proteins inside the cell, into smaller particles that are either recycled or extruded from the cell as waste material. Lysosomes in white blood cells contain enzymes that digest foreign material such as microbes. So what did we learn about lysosomes, right? We see that the lysosomes, they contain so here is your function. They contain a variety of enzymes involved in breaking down fragments of organelles and large molecules, right, inside the cell into smaller particles that are either recycled or extruded from the cell. So this is the function of the lysosomes, right? And also in white blood cells, they contain enzymes that digest foreign material such as microbes. This is yet another function as well. Now let us lastly look at the cytoskeleton. So the cytoskeleton, this consists of extensive network of tiny protein fibers, right? This one contains a network of tiny protein fibers. This is the cytoskeleton, right? So I want you to go and look at the cytoskeleton, the microfilaments, the microtubules, and other organelles like centrosomes and their functions, right?